You're watching The Breakfast Club.
Yep, it's the world's most dangerous morning show, The Breakfast Club. Charlamagne the God, Angela Yee, DJ Envy is still at Disney World, or Universal. Where the hell he at?
He's in Disney World. He was very upset to miss this interview, by the way.
Yes, he wanted to talk to Rich very badly, but we have Richelieu Dennis and Michelle Ebanks here from Essence. Rich, I respect you, man, and the reason I respect you is because you took a lot of heat about, how long ago was that? Maybe a year ago?
Yes.
And all you did was put your head down and say, you know what, I'm going to show y'all how much I care about our people better than I can tell you. Yeah. And you went and bought Essence. There
right,
you go.
so let's give the backstory on all of that, because Rich was the owner of Shea Moisture. And you sold Shea Moisture, and people were so upset. They were like, oh, my God, he turned his back on us. Yeah. But all along, you knew you had other plans.
Could you explain business to these people? Yeah. And that's how you do business. You sell things and buy new things.
And buy new things. But I think the piece that, what we've always been focused on is, yes, business, but wealth creation, right? The only way that our communities are going to be sustainable, the way we're going to build our communities to where we want them, the way that we're going to be able to raise our children to have the aspirations and the opportunities is by creating wealth in our communities, right? So doing business to do business was never our objective. Doing business to leverage it in order to invest back in our community, to take the money and put it back in our community is what we've always done. So when I was here last, I was saying, look, we've been doing this for 27 years. This is our history, right? But what I think was different from what people saw then and what I think people are recognizing now is that, yes, spending power is important, but wealth creation is more important. The way that we create wealth is buying and selling things, right? That's one way to do it. The other way to do it really is when you buy and you sell, you take the profits and invest it back in your community. So that's what we've always been about. Every bottle of shampoo that you buy from Shea Moisture, even today, we take that money and put it back in the community. So you see it with 16,000 women, almost 20,000 women in Ghana now, living above poverty because black women bought Shea Moisture, right, and continue to buy Shea Moisture. You see the ability for us to take $100 million and invest it in black women entrepreneurs. Nobody's ever done that before, right? But that's because we're able to take the capital that we earn and reinvest it back in our communities. And so that's what we're doing with Essence. Until we can own our economics, we won't own our culture, and it will continue to be appropriated, right? So we have to own it and we have to monetize it because, you can look all around you, and I don't want to lecture, but you can look all around you and see how our culture gets monetized. And, we're the for hire, we're the talent, right.
We're getting paid
culture.
To be in the room, but we're creating everything, but we're not the ones owning that.
Exactly, and we're not getting the wealth. I mean, you can take a look at Black Panther. We all love it. We're all happy that we got to see our culture displayed like that. But it's our culture, right? That's a movie that cost $200 million to make and made almost $2 billion.
Absolutely.
Right?
Created a lot of generational wealth for some other people, but not none of us.
None of us, right? So if you take that $200 million, which is about 10% of what the movie made, right? And you dissect how much the black people and black communities got out of that $200 million. Forget the $2 billion. We're not seeing that, right? Out of that $200 million, if we're lucky, black people got 50, 60 million out of that 200, right? On a business that produced 2 billion. If we don't own our culture, we're never going to build our community. So that's what we've been about. That's what Shea Moisture has been trying to do, and that's what it's going to continue trying to do. And now we get an opportunity to do this with Essence as well, because Essence is a platform upon which black women can take their own narrative and express their own ideas, and they can drive their own economics, which is what we're going to transform it to.
And Michelle, you have a lot of great things happening at Essence. I got a chance to see a lot of this at the Essence Upfronts.
Yes.
So let's talk about some of the things that are coming down the pipeline at Essence.
Well, as Rich was saying, there's so much that's new for us now. We spent 12 years as a part of a magazine holding company. We were one of 22 brands, and it was about managing decline, and now we're managing growth. So what we're seeing now that's new is expansion across all of our key verticals. We serve our community at large, but we also serve the passionate communities more deeply now in not only beauty and style and health and wellness, but entrepreneurship. You know, this idea of ownership is powerful in our community in building wealth because, you know, as we were saying, what we see in the culture doesn't translate to everyday lives. But Essence, with now being a media, technology, and commerce company, we go more deeply into the everyday lives of Black women. And through Essence, that's the culture of Black women teaching each other and supporting each other. And now it's more social, video, mobile, live, and global. So everyone will see a whole new Essence, and because Black women are on a mission.
I've been actually feeling that too because I've done some things with Essence in the past year that have to do with entrepreneurship and mentoring and all of that. So I thought that was incredible. And you guys have the Essence Festival coming up. So this year it looks like it's going to be like one of the best years you guys have ever had.
It's already the biggest in our history. It's our 24th year. And we are on pace for a record crowd. New Orleans has been sold out for 4 months.
Wow.
You know,
I'm not going to lie because I'm coming out there. I was trying to get somebody a room. Can't find a room.
You cannot find a room.
$1,100 a night.
There's a waiting list for a room and a flight. And we're so incredibly excited about, you know, this record year. And there's, you know, so much that'll also be new that we'll roll out. We'll see, of course, amazing concerts in the Superdome with the sellout crowds. I mean, everyone from, you know, Mary and, of course, Janet and Queen Latifah. 80 artists will be performing. But during the daytime, we're expanding our footprint. We're launching our Essence Conference and Expos. We're going from 700,000 square feet in the Ernest M. Morial Convention Center to 900,000.
Ooh.
200 participants. It's going to be just lights out all weekend long.
I wonder if Girls Trip helped with Essence Fest this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think Michelle probably knows this way better than I do. I think it's a combination of things, right? I think it's Girls Trip. I think it's the current environment that we find ourselves in, and us having now an opportunity to congregate together and
The celebration of blackness.
the celebration of blackness together. We're stronger, right? And I also think that it's Essence being Black owned, right? And Essence being backed.
So a lot of
Right,
excitement.
absolutely, a lot of excitement.
Why Essence, Rich? Like, I mean, because the magazine business isn't a great business nowadays. We know that. So why invest in a magazine?
Yeah. So I you know, the way to think about it is that Essence is not a magazine.
It's a
Essence
brand.
It's not a concert.
right.
It's a movement.
Yeah, it's a
Right.
huge brand.
It's a huge brand that is at the epicenter of the movement that Black women are leading in this country, right? Whether it's culturally, whether it's socially, whether it's economically, they're driving culture here, right? And Essence is at the epicenter of that. So for us, it wasn't like, hey, let's go buy a magazine. For us, it was like, one, let's make sure that we own the narrative that's happening in our community, right? So whether or not it made business sense, we were going to do this because we deserve to own our culture. That's our mission, right? And then the second thing is that it's an incredible business opportunity because what we now get to do is not just, you know, what you're going to see very differently in the business model. It's not just about Essence selling ads and Essence, you know, selling sponsorships. It's about how do we leverage Essence to have other Black women entrepreneurs also have a platform that they can earn incomes on, that they can create businesses through, that they can create wealth on, right? So think about it as an economic movement, right, that's focused on empowering and creating wealth for Black women, not a magazine. It's not a magazine. These things are just the tools and the means by which we get there. But the big vision, the big idea is creating a platform that Black women around the globe can stand on and create economic security for themselves and for their families. That's where we're headed.
What challenges have you faced, Michelle? We're just running the magazine.
Well,
Having to deal with me.
Well, the fact that it's not just a magazine.
no, right, exactly. We're nearly a 5, decade-old startup, right? So we're coming at, the opportunity to engage our community fresh, and we're developing the capabilities, broader capabilities in video, which is such a a key platform for Black people and Black women. In social, we're developing new capabilities, and it's a challenge, of course, to stand up all of these operations and create the partnerships. But it's a wonderful challenge because the response has been extraordinary. Mm-hmm. As we said, anything that we do, Black women show up and show up big. So it's the challenge that we want and need for our community.
Have they ever come to you and said, Michelle, we need to make the magazine broader? I know it's for Black women, but can we add some, white women and some, we just add a little. You know how they do sometimes.
No, we don't get that very often.
Okay.
We don't.
We're definitely not getting that now.
No, we don't
Remember
get
when
that.
Emmy did Essence Live and it turned into a huge deal up here?
Oh, because they thought he was Dominican?
No,
What?
we did. It was first Joe Button was talking about it on his podcast.
That was Essence Live?
Yeah, when he was on Essence Live.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that was Essence Live.
But you guys do have so many other things going on. Like there's the block party. Like just talk about some of the things that Essence has going on that people can get involved in. Women in media, all of that. Let's talk about it.
Well, coming out of the festival, we have our street style in Brooklyn, New York, that will open up Fashion Week. And that's when we take over Brooklyn and bring, the fashion of real women, right to the runway. We don't have to look to the runway, that's happening in New York. We create our own runway. Mm-hmm. So that street style is going to be a phenomenal experience. The election, so Black women in politics, you'll see programming, that are really supporting this movement of Black women leading cities and states and representing us in Washington, D.C.
So important. Shout out to my girl, Congresswoman Yvette Clarke, who I'm going to be with this weekend.
Yes, okay. Yes. We have our new mayor of New Orleans, Mayor LaToya Cantrell. We're so excited now in the city, with her leadership. And so you'll see us in Black women in tech, in business, in journalism, in the arts. We'll go more deeply across all of these verticals and just create, a platform for more women to just engage.
Because we are making major
communities.
Leaps and bounds. Black women as far as opening businesses, politics,
the fastest growing
tech,
group of entrepreneurs, the highest voting rate, the highest level of college attendance, the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs. I mean, Black women are on fire.
Yeah. Although I keep hearing, I've spoken to at a few different events, and a few different times girls have said, well, in tech, sometimes I'm the only Black woman in the room, they say to me, and it can be very intimidating. Right?
Yeah, we're going to change that, and there are several reasons for that. One of them being the economics, right? The ability to attract capital. VCs don't invest in Black companies and Black entrepreneurs at the same rate that they invest in other entrepreneurs, and they're investing even less in Black women. Right, it's something like 0.06 cents of every dollar that gets invested goes to a Black woman. Think about it; it's less than a half a penny, right? And so we're looking to change that. Again, part of what we've done. Is using Shea Moisture to generate the income to invest in these women. So we've got $100 million that we're going to be putting against these issues of entrepreneurship and giving women the opportunity to be in that room. So it's not just one Black woman in the room, but that there are several. There shouldn't be just one Shea Moisture, a brand that breaks the $1 billion barrier. There should be many others. And so, but it's going to take us in our community investing in our businesses in order that our businesses can then go out and spread this economics, right? But if we're just, if you take the money and you run and go put it, in the stock market or put it in other communities that don't look like yours and that don't support yours and that don't build yours, we will always be asking somebody for something, right? So what this mission is about changing those dynamics, starting with the economics. For us, economic inclusion is a basic human right. And we've got to bring that human right to our community because it's not there now.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but is this for the first time ever the female leadership will have an ownership stake in the business of Essence?
Yeah, so I think the Essence was founded by men. I don't know if everybody- I didn't know that either. Right? It was founded by 5 men. And so
that's cultural appropriation too, by the way.
By the way, I got a few stories about that.
Were they black men?
Yeah, there were black men. There were black men.
At least.
But the idea here is that we should set up structures in our businesses that allow us to have economic inclusion in those businesses, right? Whatever those structures pan out to be, whatever they end up being, but we should have equity in the businesses that we're building, right? And so we're at the forefront of that, and we're going to continue to drive that. So we're doing a lot of things here differently.
And Michelle, why do you think it's meaningful that women have an ownership stake in the business?
It's meaningful because we are our mission. We are driving, promoting, encouraging, economic empowerment, ownership, wealth building. So for us to be that ourselves, creates this sense of, oh, they can do it, we can do it. We're in it together. So it's very much, Essence belongs to Black women. So we want to be representative of the goals that she has for her life. I mean, when Black women, 80% of Black women earn nearly half of all household income in our homes. For white women, it's not even half that number. So we need to be empowered economically so we can take care of our family, our community. It's critical to our everyday lives. We're in New Orleans. Black folks are 65% of the population and 1% of the wealth. That's unacceptable. That's
ridiculous.
Unacceptable.
Wait, what?
That's right. But when we look at our culture and we see, who are folks talking about, whether it's Black Panther, that's not translating into our everyday lives. But the platform that Black women built, Black women who have subscribed, who have tuned in, listened, viewed, they're built Essence. So Essence has to work for them.
Right.
And that's what we'll do to change that wealth gap. And it's so important for Black women because Black women are leaders. And we know that, she knows that, and that's what's going to create the real economic change in our community.
Now, you guys also have a venture capital fund.
Yeah.
So explain that, because now people can come to you and get some funding, some financing for projects that they have.
Yeah. So it's called the New Voices Fund. It's $100 million that is focused on Black women businesses, right? And whether they're in the seed stage, startup, Series A, Series B, Series C, we believe that there's 3 things, just given our own experiences, there are 3 things that are critical to success in building a business as a minority, right? With all the additional challenges that you have beyond just what it takes to build a business, right? All of the issues that the lack of capital, Michelle just talked about some of the statistics. So we believe that yes, capital is important, right? But equally or probably more important is access, right? Having the access to shelf space, having the access to retailers, having the access to content producers, having the access, we think is very important. You couple the access with expertise because we may all want to do something, we may have the ideas to do it, we may have the conviction about it, but we may not. We didn't all grow up with banker next door, an uncle that's working at a startup that's in tech, that's at Google. We don't all have that, right? So we've got to provide the expertise as well, right? We've got to bring those 3 things together so that we create an ecosystem that our businesses can now rely upon, right? So, and it's going to take all of us. So when we talk about expertise, it's being able to not just bring talent to the table, but to be able to connect our entrepreneurs more broadly with executives at some of the largest corporations in the world that can give them mentorship, that can give them guidance, right? But then it's also being able to give them the access to the branch manager that can make that loan, and to be able to say, hey, we're going to guarantee this loan, right? But you make the loan, so that we now have an infrastructure, we now have the resources, and we now have the ecosystem that we can tap into all of these things versus, I'm going to go to this networking event and hopefully I meet somebody. This is more structured, it's more processed, it's more organized, right? And so we're taking our experiences in building Shea Moisture. We've leveraged Shea Moisture to generate this capital. And oh, by the way, it's $100 million today, but every time you buy a bottle of Shea Moisture, it goes into building this up. So our objective is at 100 today, $1 billion in 2 or 3 years, right? So it's not about just saying, hey, here's, we're investing, here's the check, we'll see you when we see you. Yeah. It's about saying we're going to build an ecosystem, right? We're going to connect you to that ecosystem, but you're also going to be accountable to bringing others in your peer group, in your community along, right? And we're going to leverage all of our infrastructure to do that, right? Whether it's the Essence, the Essence brand and platform, whether it's the Shea Moisture and Sundial brand and platform, whether it's some of our financial partners, whatever it is, we're going to bring all of that to bear because it is important that our community and our culture stop being appropriated. It's like when you're talking about earlier when I was here, almost a year ago, and we were talking about, hey, here's a situation that we have to help educate people about, and that is, in order for us to create wealth in our communities, we can't just do business in our communities. We have to go into other communities, do business there, and bring those dollars back into our communities, right? And what our businesses haven't historically done is that. And what we have to help our community do is understand that it's okay for us to go into those communities, do business there, but that we bring those dollars back. We talked earlier about Black Panther. Mm-hmm. It was like a year ago. It was like, cancel Shea Moisture. We go buy Cantu, go buy a Black brand, right? Well, Cantu is not a Black-owned brand, mm-hmm. right? What they've done is they've appropriated, right, our heritage in the name. They've appropriated our heritage in using the kente cloth colors. They've taken what other Black-owned brands were making and created products very similar to them. And this is a private equity firm, right? So they take that and they create it and they put it in front of us and they lead us to believe that here's a Black business. Right. It's not. And the world is littered with that, right? What we have to do is, they have their private equity firms that can help them build their businesses. We have to have our capital bases and our capital structures that can help us build our businesses. It's not, it can't just be that people from other communities can come in and do business in our communities, mm-hmm. but we don't have the resources or we don't have the permission from our own community to go do businesses there, right? So it's a lot of work that we have to do, but, we're here for it. We're going to stand in the gap. We're going to take a lot of shots for it. But at the end of the day, our goal is to figure out how to invest back in our communities to create wealth. That is true Black excellence, right? Sustainable wealth creation is true Black excellence because then we can make different decisions.
I agree with that because sometimes I think one of the biggest problems is we're scared to take a risk with our money because we feel like...
On each other.
Yeah, well, also just for ourselves.
Definitely on each other.
If I want to go ahead and start something, I'm like, but I don't have... If I lose this money, I don't think I can go to the bank and get a loan or get money from somewhere else. So sometimes we don't take those risks because we're scared that we'll lose what we have and not be able to build it back up.
And rightfully so. I mean, we've seen, so many financial institutions that are really taking advantage of our communities, right? Yep. Whether it's loans for home ownership, we see those barriers and then we're conservative, right? So our culture allows us to come together and teach each other. This is how we can get a loan, take a risk because we have a network, and we have, through that access and capital, right? And those that will allow us in order to make different moves, to build wealth. Because we know this country is based on wealth for a few. Yeah. That's how it works. Mm-hmm. It works for a few. So
1%.
1%. So for us, we have to figure out what works, and our culture is what works. It's working for the world. It has to work for us.
That's our greatest resource.
That's our greatest resource. And that's why the festival And what we do across all of our platforms in digital, mobile, social is so important around every key passionate vertical so that we're bringing our culture to the table. That's our workshop. And we say this is how we do it, and we celebrate success, and then we do it again, and then we do it again.
Did you have any reservations working with Rich because of the narrative that they were trying to paint around him after the whole Shea Moisture thing?
Never. Wow. Never. You know, as I've known Rich for several years as a client at Essence, and I've understood the vision. You know, the vision of, you know, developing, you know, economic wealth in our communities. And if you have a North Star, then what happens? The conversations in a day-to-day, people don't always get it. They don't get the larger mission, but that can't throw you off track.
Right.
So it was never a doubt. We knew that with what Sundial Brands had created, the wealth, the passion, you know, that Richelieu and his family have for our community, you can't, that's gold. That's diamonds right there, because we have to believe in each other. We don't always believe in each other.
You know him personally, so you already know what he is. So it's different when there's a narrative that's out there than when you know that person. You're like, okay, I know that they've done a lot of great things in the community. I know I've worked alongside him to do some of those things. So this narrative they're painting isn't at all what it is. So
we can't get distracted.
What'd you learn from that Shea Moisture debacle, Rich?
You know, I think, you know, I learned a lot. You know, I think the one thing was, first of all, it was very humbling, right? I think that was the first thing. I think the biggest lesson that I learned was we have, as a community, us that are in business or in that have these platforms, have a responsibility to help educate and share and enlighten those of us that don't have the same opportunities or the same exposure. And I think so whereas, you know, I couldn't come out, I didn't have the I should say the liberty at the time to come out and say, hey guys, this is what we're doing.
Right.
I expected that people would have recognized what we were doing and would have seen what we were trying to do. And I thought we had 27 years of history of proving what we do.
You like, guess again.
Yeah, you know. And so my first realization was, wow, you know, no matter how much we've done, people don't really understand what it is that we're doing. And then I come to realize that it's because they haven't seen us do it. What they see is, you know, we build businesses or we have individual successes, and then we move away from the community. And I think what the community was saying was, well, here we go again. Here's another one that we've built, and they're moving away, right? And all I could say at the time was, guys, we've been here for 27 years. We're not going anywhere. Because what I couldn't do is, you know, you run a business, you have a strategy, you have a plan, and if you disclose that to the world, then you no longer have a strategy or a plan. And then your competition, you know, becomes enabled to take advantage of that, right? And so the biggest lesson was we need to be able to expose our community to the opportunities and the challenges, right, of building a business. Because you know what the greatest benefit from all of that was there's a whole crop of Black entrepreneurs that are no longer afraid to go out and bring dollars back into their community. They're no longer afraid to stretch, right? And for those that are afraid to stretch, we're going to continue pushing the envelope so that they can see a path. This next level that we're on is saying, now we've gone out, we've stretched, we've gotten some scale and some resources. Now we're showing them how you bring it back into the community, right? With Essence, right? With new voices and the investment funds that we're creating. So I think those lessons I think were invaluable. I think the third lesson that I think is really a much broader one for our, not necessarily for me, but I think that I hope that everybody learned from this, is that we cannot be so quick to destroy our own.
Mm-hmm.
Word. I hate cancel culture.
All the time.
You know, it's like
what you talk about when you say people don't. What if you got cachet? What about my resume? Don't mean anything. Like,
you know, it's like, you know, like my life's work doesn't mean anything because I did something that wasn't executed the way it should have been.
Were there people that you thought knew you and attacked you, and you were like,
plenty?
Are they Black from Essence Festival?
Absolutely not. I mean, because that's what it's about, right? This was a teachable moment.
That's right.
This was not just a business teachable moment. This was a cultural teachable moment, right? And there were people, that, were influencers that we were doing deals with and giving contracts to when white companies wouldn't touch them, right? That were like, oh, all of a sudden now, right? And they've known us, they know what we're about, right? But I understood, because on the other side of it, this cancel culture thing is, if they stand with us in that moment, then
they get
they don't want to deal with that. But we as a community have to start standing up for each other.
Yes.
Right? Because we all we got. Now, I tell you, a company that wasn't as grounded as we were, as Michelle said, that didn't have the North Star that we have, could have very easily said, okay, you know what? We're going to go a different direction, right? But we didn't. And that's because we're here to show others that no matter how tough it gets, no matter how difficult it gets, it's not just about the money. It's about preserving our culture. But the way we preserve our culture is by monetizing it. So you look around you and, everybody else makes money on our culture. Why can't we?
Right.
But somebody has to show that, right? It can't be, and when I say make money on our culture, I don't mean get a paycheck. I don't mean, get a record deal. I mean, own the streaming company like Jay is doing with Tidal, right? Own the communications like we own Essence. You've gotta get invested in these businesses. The only way that we can get invested in these businesses is to have scale. The only way we can have scale is to not just sell in our communities, but to sell outside of our communities. Because what else? And you asked a question earlier that was very good, around, are you getting pressure to diversify who you see in the magazine? Let me tell you what is happening out there. Black women are hot today. Essence has been serving Black women for 50 years, right? Every major and minor media company today is targeting Black women. Mm-hmm. Go look at the covers. And when we see, a Black woman on the cover of one of these publications, we're all excited. Okay, we should be. But why do we need their validation?
Mm-hmm. Oh, thank you for saying.
Right?
Yes,
Why?
I agree.
Why?
I don't know why we think white people ice so cold.
Yeah, and we got our own ice. Mm-hmm. But we also have to make our ice hot, right? We have to make it of value. We have to make it of importance in ways that we haven't before. And that's what we're going to do here. And as I said earlier, to show how you can do this, we'll make some mistakes. We'll fail from time to time. But
just don't put no white women on the cover and you'll be fine.
You sure about that?
That's July 5th through the 8th.
I'll be out there, so.
Yes, thank you, Angela,
there, yes.
for being there with us.
And support Essence Magazine, man. Rich, Michelle, thank you for coming.
Thank
you
you guys.
having
You guys
us.
are awesome.
This is
thank
fantastic.
Yeah, I got some things in the works, too, with them, so,
I can't wait.
That's right.
I can't wait. It's going to be hot.
Yeah. All right.
So before we get, are we off?
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Because what I do want to emphasize is that for all you entrepreneurs out there, to get involved with the fund, to please send your profile to info@newvoicesfund.com, newvoicesfund.com, info@newvoicesfund.com, or you can go directly to newvoicesfund.com and upload your profile, because we are going to be launching at the festival, officially launching at the festival. We'll start taking applications there. We've already got quite a few in. I think the community is going to be very excited about the things that we've already done, and as you just said, some of the things that we're going to do with you and other people in the community here. So please, come to newvoicesfund.com and let's get this thing popping.
I'm there.
It's Richelieu, Dennis, and Michelle Ebanks. It's the Breakfast Club.